get started. Welcome to our East Chattanooga facility. First and foremost, we are going to utilize a turntable, but not just any turntable. A turntable, I dare say, as far as its age, all right, you're going to find many of these across the country, nor are you going to find one that's operational, because this turntable was built in 1916 by the American Bridge and Iron Company up in Pennsylvania. Now, as far as turntables go, and as later on they were being built a little larger, a little longer to accommodate larger engines, this turntable served the Central Georgia Railway in Macon, Georgia. It was utilized by their locomotive repair and maintenance facility there. In the 20s, it was removed from Macon and moved to smaller operations in Cedartown, Georgia, and Polk County, just south of Rome. When this turntable was first being utilized, and before they were motorized, like we have our 25 horsepower motor today, being operated by Mr. Fields himself. Give a wave. All right. He's very bashful and very humble sometimes. So with that being said, they were actually having to turn these engines around by hand. They were known as Armstrong tables, just like they sound. Poles extruding and extending, obviously, on all four corners. Now, to give you an understanding of just how heavy that is, this is on the lighter side as far as some of our locomotives that we have in our collection. All right, this is about 246,000 pounds. That's before we top it off with fuel. So that would be about 123 tons. We'll round up, call it about 125 tons, all right? Not a big deal, right? Everyone's pretty strong. Everyone probably could do that. We can't let you do that. Liability says, no way. But what we will do is, we will demonstrate how a turntable works. Imagine having to turn it by hand, however. Now, the way you would be able to turn it by hand, and it gets a little difficult depending on the length of our locomotive, such as our steam locomotive 4501. It's right around 200 tons, okay? Right here, hidden by the bridge plate, as you can view it, right here in the center of the gauge, is a 6-foot bearing. And you need to get the weight of whatever locomotive you're using balanced over the top of that bearing. So not just a bad dad joke or metaphor, the whole operation is a balancing act. Right, Mr. Fields? He's got worse dad jokes than I do, and he's not even a dad. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to demonstrate, talk to you about locomotive 1829 as we bring it on the table. Ladies and gentlemen, 1829, built for the U.S. Army. It would be used as a switching engine at the Holston Ammunition Army plant in Kingsport, Tennessee. Built 1951 by EMD. It is known as a hood unit. Hood units were pretty popular with a lot of railroads. Now, what it allows us to do, as far as its body design, when we take trips such as our 6-hour Chickamauga turn, we don't have a turntable located in Chickamauga, nor do we have a Y like we ran around the initial part of our trip. So simply with the hood unit, we take the locomotive down. He just brought the locomotive on, the engineer, cab forward, cab closest in the direction of travel. But if we run the engine around like we do at Chickamauga and couple back up on the other end, so wheeling his chair around, he can still safely and effectively operate this locomotive. This is known as a GP7. The letters GP mean general purpose. So it can be used as a switching engine, passenger locomotive. Generally, you would see locomotives like this coupled up in tandem if they had to pull larger freight or do larger switching movements in the yards. And by the way, this comes up for basically a wholesale price. We have 1829 and its sister engine over there, 1824. Do you know how much we pay for those? No, you can't guess. $250. try to buy a locomotive this day and time for that amount. So it has about 1,500 horsepower. We've used it for a very, very long time. And it's been a very dependable engine. But a general purpose GP7 giving it about 1,500 horsepower. Now we're going to line the turntable up this morning with track 1 because that's where your coaches are located, and that wouldn't make any sense. That'd be counterproductive. So we're going to line it up with track 2. As soon as we line it up with track 2, the engineer's going to pull off track 2, go all the way up to the other end of the switch. We'll hand throw the switch. No hitter. Good job, Mr. Fields. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the engine off all the way to the other end. We got a guy down there who's going to switch it back to track 1, back up and recouple. Now listen very closely. In just a few moments, as the engine clears the crossing, where these folks are standing down here, I want you to meet me down there, okay, before crossing over. And I'm going to take you over to see that taller building. You're going to see equipment on the way over. You're going to see equipment inside our back shop facility where we're doing restoration.